awesome. I'll have to tell her about it. Yeah. She probably already knows, but I'm thinking yeah. So, yeah, it's definitely just asking people if they can write a postcard to City Council just to keep them. It says, Birchwood still needs groceries. We'll send them away. We got to
Thank you.
How you been? Beautiful.
Thanks for doing it.
You know, open up this space for
I would like to welcome Rena Priest to give an opening read. She is a Lummi tribal member and a writer. Her work draws on history, scientific affirma, and pop culture to tell stories and seek truth. Her debut book, Patriarchy Blues, was released on Moonpath Press and garnered a 2018 American Book Award. Please give a big hand for Rena Priest to read our opening read.
Thank you all for being here to celebrate the International Day of Peace. I'd like to first take a moment to acknowledge that we are on Clactamish land, Lummi and Nooksack land, and I'm going to share a poem. It's from a collection titled Sublime Subliminal. It has maybe like a political or activist message, but it's not an obvious one. All of the poems in this collection are kind of, like subliminal messages. They all have the name of a famous person and the name, they have some slang and a foreign language phrase, and I'll explain a little bit of that after I'm done reading. But the collection came about, actually, it's coming out on Floating Bridge Press, which is a Seattle-based press, on October 21st at Elliott Bay Books. And the whole thing came about because after the election in 2016, I kind of freaked out and I was like, oh, I'm gonna start making some really kind of heavy art, I guess. But then I learned about sublimation, which in psychology I learned is the process of turning like the thing that is stressing you out, that you're having trouble coping with, into art. And I thought maybe what we really need is not political poems. We need poems to celebrate language and the beautiful things in the world. And then I ended up writing this collection, and it was a finalist for the Floating Bridge Press Chapbook Award this year. And this is a poem called When Diving, Drink Water, or The Inner Life of the Water Glass. In the darkness of the cupboard, the inner life of the water glass is not empty. It is clean and brimful of paisley animation, smoldering in the emptiness we insist exists between one thing and the next. Have a sip. See if it doesn't taste like thirst or the boozy spike of your imagination. The inner life of the water glass involves no doubts about optimism or pessimism. Only dreams of blossoms and the process of emergence from a branch. First the shining nub, then a bud, a green fist holding the pearly petals of a cup into which dew from clumsy daybreak spills. How does water feel in the absence of the word wet? Dr. Emoto, pour me a glass from a tap in Flint, and emote something like pure love into it until the tintinnabulation of every trickle sings, be grateful as daybreak is careful with the dispersal of frost and dew, crowning every particle with a gleaming bead or crystal. The inner life of the water glass is thirsty, constantly crying out, get this aquaholic some sky juice, a worthy purpose, a holy drink of that Jordan mouthwash. You see, the water glass is fickle, Clarity requires biological intelligence. Ask the sly jellyfish about jettisoning a brain to be clear, to blend in, to mimic water for survival. The jelly will tell you, it's hard telling not knowing if you're bringing water to the sea or trying to make a hole in it. My undying of the water glass, Sambil Minyela Minam Ayer, the gone water of doubt mills no more fears. Drink up, twirl in a circle twice, twice you will have toured the pulsing shoreline of your extraverse. So the foreign language phrase Sambil Minyela Minam Ayer means when diving, drink water, and it's Malaysian. And the two idioms in this poem, because every poem also had to have an idiom, the two idioms are it's hard telling not knowing if you're bringing water to the sea or trying to make a hole in it. And if you're trying to bring water to the sea, you're engaged in a task that seems pointless. And if you're trying to make a hole in it, you're engaged in a task that seems impossible. And I feel like in activism and in seeking justice and in seeking peace, sometimes when you look at what you're up against, it can feel like that. But the message, the gone water of doubt mills no more fears, drink up, twirl in a circle twice. You will have toured the pulsing shoreline of your extraverse, is just looking around at the beauty in the world and doing it anyways, and not having any doubts about what you're doing in your work that seeks peace and justice. And so thank you all for being here.
Setting the tone and opening for tonight's event. I'd like to welcome you all to the 15th Annual International Day of Peace, hosted by the Whatcom Peace Justice Center. My name is Day, and I will be your MC for this evening. We are here as a community to celebrate each other, to celebrate the various organizations in Bellingham that work for a greater cause. We are here to celebrate peace. Today we dine for peace, we're present for peace, listen for peace, and donated for peace. What we are doing here today is making time for peace in our hearts and our communities. I have the great pleasure of welcoming Naomi Washira, who is a Seattle singer and songwriter who was born in Kenya and grew up singing gospel music with family and friends. Inspired by the music of Tracy Chapman and Miriam McButt, Washira saw potential for song to make the world a better place and set out to create music that is hopeful and life-giving. Since her arrival on the Northwest music scene, she has received numerous accolades, including being named Best Folk Artist by Seattle Weekly, and has cultivated a growing base of enthusiastic fans. She has released 4 recordings to date: African Girl, Naomi Washira, I Am Because You Are, and Song of Lambian. Naomi Washira is here to celebrate and sing and live for peace with us today. If you have yet to listen to her music, I must prepare you for something magical. I was sitting in my office listening to Beautifully Human, and I was overwhelmed with happiness. I had to take a second to remind myself about how grateful I was to be where I am today. Please welcome Naomi Washira. We are so happy and humbled that you are here with us today.
All right, how's everyone? Oh my goodness, you're all so beautiful. It's such a pleasure to be here, and what an honor to be part of this day, celebrating International Peace Day. My whole work is really about hope. I remember as a little kid singing, and that was like the word that always rang through my head, is that I wanted to sing words, sing songs that offered hope, that reminded us of our goodness as human beings, because I think sometimes it's so easy to forget when the media just talks about all the negative things that are happening. I feel like everywhere I've traveled, my daughter and I have traveled quite a bit, and everywhere we go, we are reminded that there are way more good people than there are not good people. And so that's all my music is all about, is just reminding us those essential things that sometimes we might forget. And I'm going to start out with this song. My father passed away about 5 years ago, and the day after we laid him to rest, I wrote this song in a way to sort of express his loss that was really sudden, but also the lesson that I learned from him, which was learning to number your days, because none of us know how much time you get here. You could be here today, tomorrow you're gone. And if there's anything I learned from him is how to use my time wisely, to use the gifts that I've been given to make the world a better place. And so I'm trying to fulfill that calling, that legacy that he left behind by singing. So it goes like this. Ooh, yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, don't you know our days are troubled? Our days are numbered, every one of them, from days of laughter and sorrow to rising up on the mountain like Moses, but then coming down to days of trouble. You toil, you labor, you try to build your life so that someday you can say, come and see what I've done. Oh, but you know your days are troubled. The rain falls on good and bad, and the sun shines on good and bad, but nobody knows what tomorrow holds. I said the rain falls on good and bad, and the sun shines on good and bad, but nobody knows what tomorrow holds. So learn to be wise, learn to be kind, learn to count your days, because nobody knows what tomorrow holds. So learn to be wise, learn to be kind, learn to count your days, because nobody knows what tomorrow holds. I said, don't you know, don't you know, don't you know it? I said, don't you know, don't you I said, don't you know it? I said, don't you know it? That our days, they're numbered. So learn to be wise, yeah. Learn to be kind, oh, because our days, they're numbered. So I grew up in the church. My dad was a pastor, and one of my favorite scriptures was the one where Jesus walks up to a woman who's about to be stoned, and tells the crowd, "He who's without sin, let him be the first to cast a stone." And that's part of the phrasing that I got for this next song called "Up in Flames." Because I think us as humanity, sometimes we forget that we've all done crazy things. We've all done stuff that we regret, and stupid stuff, to be honest. And my whole point with this song is just remember to temper our judgment with mercy and kindness and love and empathy. Because I think that's what's going to heal the world, is if we learn to use those things when we're trying to correct one another. This song goes something like this. Sometimes I feel like I don't have what it takes to keep moving on. I love to my left, I love to my right, and all faces down, fear in the hearts. People just keep throwing stones. Faces down, fear in the hearts. People just keep throwing stones. No, am I the only one who thinks we're gonna go up in flames? Am I the only one who thinks we're gonna go up in flames? Flames. Bad news keeps happening everywhere, everywhere I look. And I'm losing faith in what we can be. With our faces down, fear in our hearts, we just keep throwing stones. Faces down, fear in our hearts, we just keep throwing stones. Am I the only one who thinks we're gonna go up in flames? Am I the only one who thinks we're gonna go up in flames? Flames. Someone tell me now, where is kindness? Where is love? Where is mercy? Where is kindness? Where is love? Where is mercy? Where is kindness? Where is love? Am I the only one who thinks we're gonna go up in flames? Am I the only one who thinks we're gonna go up in flames? Am I the only one who thinks we're gonna go up in flames? So I moved to Seattle about 11 years ago to go to graduate school to study theology because I was trying to figure out my faith before I abandoned. I grew up Christian. And in one of my classes, I wrote a paper about looking at missionaries from an African perspective because that's a story you don't really get to hear very often. And in one of my, the research that I was doing, I came across this piece of information that way back when the Europeans believed the Africans were descendants of Noah's cursed son. If you knew one of Noah's cursed sons, and if you know that story, to me that was really, really heartbreaking that somebody would look at me or my people and think that something about who we are was cursed. And so I wanted to write something that vindicated not only my ancestors, but also people who fall in all kinds of spectrums of what it means to be human. Sometimes I think, people think there's only one way to be human, but there's like as many people as there are in the world, there are as many ways to be human. And so I wanted to celebrate the diversity of the human race with a song called Beautifully Human. Now I wish the world could believe that my brothers and sisters, we are meant to be. No, we are not accidents. No, we are not. We are not the sons and daughters of the dead. So don't treat us like we are a curtain straight. So don't treat us like we are a curtain straight. We are human. where I belong, where I deserve to be. I deserve, and I know that I am, I am, I am, I am, I am. I know that I am, I am, I am, I am, I am. I know that I am, I am, I am, I am, I am. I know that I am, I am, I am, I am, I am. So is anyone who can walk, who can talk, who can laugh, who can cry, who can feel pain? So is anyone who can speak, who can hear, who can see, who's never had free mind? So is anyone who wear the brown or white or any other color? And we're beautifully human, beautiful, beautiful, beautifully human, beautiful, beautifully human, beautiful, beautiful, beautifully human, beautiful, beautifully human, beautiful, beautiful, beautifully human, beautiful. We're beautiful. This next one is one of my favorite songs. The song comes from a Zulu word called Ubuntu. And Ubuntu, when you translate it, means I am because you are, and you are because I am. And I love this concept so much because it's this realization that I'm not human all by myself. That what makes me, I'm about to cry. That what makes me human is other people. That I cannot be human all by myself. And you cannot be human all by yourself. And we all need each other. And I feel like in this time where there's so much chaos and there's so much fear, we need each other even more to remind each other of our goodness, to remind each other of what we're actually capable of being and doing. Because I think sometimes we've forgotten. We forgot what we're capable of. Every one of us has a capacity to do so much goodness and so much great things in this world. And we just have to remember that. So anyway, I'm just going to sing because... I've been wondering, I've been trying to figure out who this brown-skinned girl is. I've been on a quest, I've been on a journey, trying to understand why on earth I am here. And I've discovered I am a son of everybody I've met. Some have blessed me, some have cursed me, some have held me down, and others pushed me aside. And then there are those who sat beside me, we laughed and we cried. I've been pondering, I've been trying to find the thread, the invisible thread that binds us together. And I've discovered we are the same in our existence. Sometimes we're afraid, sometimes we are bold, sometimes we can't fight, and other times we just run and run and run and run. And then there are days it feels like we're back on the playground again, defending our right to be here, defending our right to be here. I am 'cause you are 'cause I am. So be kind, tell me, and I'll do the same. I do have some CDs available over there if you'd like to grab a couple at the end. Please do. This next song is a song called Run, Run, Run. And I know like right now, it's hard to keep running when it just feels like just stuff keeps happening and like it's kind of out of control. And it's easy to give up and it's easy to just throw in a towel and say, I'm done, I can't do anymore. But I feel like we just have to keep running with our message. We have to keep running with hope. We have to keep running with love. We have to keep running with kindness. And eventually I believe that, you know, what is good and what is empowering and what is kind will win in the end. I'm truly a big believer in that. So this is called Run, Run, Run.
Take that light that's sparkling inside you, to put it under fear, doubt, or insecurity. Take that first trembling step and believe the path beneath you will guide your way. Run, 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 even though you wanna give up. Run, 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 don't you dare look back. Run, 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 even though you wanna give up. Run, 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 don't you dare look back. Yeah, 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 yeah. Days will come when you can't see the way. Hopelessness will paralyze your very heart. Despair will threaten to take your dream, and you start to wonder if this was an illusion. Run, 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 even though you wanna give up. Run, 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 don't you dare look back. Run, 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 even though you wanna give up. Run, 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 don't you dare look back. Yeah, 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 yeah. Light in light, light inside of you. Don't deny the word, what you can bring. Light in light, light inside of you. Don't deny the word, what you can bring. What you can bring, what you can bring. Run, 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 run. Don't you dare look back. 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 Run, 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 run.
And one more song for you guys. I'm a big believer that peace always starts with yourself. That if you want to change the world, if you want to make this a better place, start with yourself. Heal those old stories, heal those old wounds, and then go out and spread that. And I feel like I'm a big believer that, you know, whatever energy you're throwing out there, that's what you're matching. That's what you're matching in the world around you. So start with yourself. And I feel like this next song is kind of how I started, is sort of owning this story of who I am as an African girl, as an American woman, as a mother, as a singer, as a black woman, and just integrating all of those parts of myself and loving all of them has helped me to become the woman that I am, and hopefully make this world a better place. So thank you again so much to Nia for inviting me to come and do this. I really appreciate it. And please come say hello at the end if you'd like. But thank you so much for listening, and happy Peace Day to all of you. So thank you.
Thank you.
This is African Girl.
See, I've been walking down this road for about 41 years now, and I can tell you it's been one hell of a ride. And I've been carrying my father's words that he said to me, learn to be wise, walk with integrity and be honest. And I can hear my grandma sing, child, I've got nothing to give to you, but may God be with you in our distant land. I am an African girl. Well, I know where I'm coming from, and I know who I wanna be. I am trying to defy everything they said of us, we who have chocolate skin. In the back of my mind, all I can hear are the voices of those who are here, those who've already gone. And I can hear them whispering, oh, 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 oh.
I am at a loss for words of how beautiful that was. Thank you for bringing your love and energy into this space. And I think that I can speak for everyone when I say that it was felt and it was heard. So let's give another round of applause. We are lucky that she will also be closing the program, so there's one more song to come. And also you can purchase her music and CDs at that table over there. It is time for the Whatcom Peace Justice Center to give you all updates on what they've been up to this past year. It takes a community to build change and passion to make sure it's sustainable change. Let's please welcome the director of the Whatcom Peace Justice Center, Mia, and Ashanti, a board member of the Peace Center.
And thank you, Naomi, and thank you, Rena. It's an honor to share this stage with all of you. And thanks to the three of you for helping us get a sense of who and where we are in this world and of where we might go. I'm thinking about what Rena shared earlier about how working for peace feels sometimes like an impossible task. It's us up against the military-industrial complex that infiltrates all of our lives. Impossible task. That might be a familiar feeling for some of you. Yeah? Anybody? Well, I had a conversation earlier this year with a person who teaches teachers at Western. His job is to train the next generation of educators to be anti-oppressive teachers. And some of what he shared with me gave me hope. What gave me hope was that I heard him talking about working for cultural change through an intergenerational process involving small, intentional changes to classroom culture and curriculum to make schools less marginalizing and more supportive, to focus more on practices of peace education. And the reason that this gave me hope is that it shed light on some of the experiences I had been having at that same time with young folks over the previous weeks, which were leading up to and after the March for Our Lives. Today's young adults are really smart. I'm crying because I'm hopeful, I really am, and it's amazing. I think they're really smart about the way that the world works, and while I think they're brilliant, I don't think they just woke up like that. Parents and teachers have been on the front lines of creating a cultural shift, and they're winning that shift with every year that passes, even though it doesn't always feel like it. It was only 7 months ago that a high school in Parkland, Florida instantly became familiar to all of us after a former student who had honed his shooting skills in a Pentagon-funded program shot and killed 17 people. Almost immediately, a student movement galvanized and refused to let gun violence disappear from the headlines. They refused to let it be a single-issue demonstration, and instead used that spotlight to draw attention to the ways that gun violence impacts all of our communities and impacts us in different ways that may require different policy solutions. Here in Bellingham, high school students organized themselves and led a district-wide walkout. One group took themselves all the way to Washington, D.C. for the March for Our Lives, where they got to connect with and learn from youth from vastly different communities whose lives have also been marked by gun violence. Another group here came together to plan a local March for Our Lives. It was an honor for the Whatcom Peace Justice Center that we were asked to support both groups, and an honor that we very quickly and creatively responded to. Now we're here at the start of another school year, and Students for Action, the group who went to DC, is focusing on registering their peers to vote. and youth like Hoku, Maddie, and Demi, who I think is still here, although they're all very busy, who led our local march in Bellingham, are still organizing their school communities for climate justice and against racism. And I'm really proud of them. I want to come back to the idea that we're winning a cultural shift. When I first met Demi, there she is, and we talked about military spending, I was kind of blown away at what she, a high school student, knew about the Pentagon and about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and what she had been learning in school. It had only been 15 years since I was in high school myself, but it sounded to me like some things were changing. And those students in Parkland who used their privilege to fight the NRA, to confront elected representatives, and to get media attention on youth-led anti-violence movements, they credit their government class with teaching them critical knowledge about special interest groups and how they work that compelled these students to march for their lives. These examples of students acting on things that their teachers and their communities are teaching them that are happening in the world and that are possible in the world, they make it clear to me that the everyday grind that we're all a part of, all of the teachers and the parents and the peace activists and community organizers, all of us, that it's having a very real, significant, collective impact. It might not be something that we get to see ourselves every day, but it's actually shifting things intergenerationally. How many of you are here for your first International Day of Peace? Can I see hands? And how many are here are like second or third or 15 timers? I'm really happy to see such a split. That's really cool that we're all here together. I'm so glad that we're all here and are all part of this community. On the back of your program, there's a list of some of the upcoming events that the Whatcom Peace Justice Center is hosting. If you feel compelled, I hope that you will come. We have potlucks for peace. We will be tabling in schools and doing presentations about alternatives to military service. We will be hosting workshops on implicit bias and systemic racism. And once again, this winter, we'll be part of the campaign to abolish the death penalty in Washington State. At the very least, I hope that you'll make sure that you're on our email list. You can sign up at our table back there or on our website, whatcompjc.org. Before I'm done and turn things over to Ashanti, I want to thank everyone who has put time, money, ideas, and sweat into this evening. We've got a volunteer crew of over 40 people who are doing all the setup, the decorating, the cleanup, cooking, documentation, childcare, and much more. Small farms who grew and donated organic cucumbers and tomatoes. We have congregations and locally owned stores who said yes to sponsoring this evening. We have an adaptable and trusted interpreter who I'm so grateful for, working to make this program tonight more accessible, which is a really small step for us hearing people toward undoing autism. Our board of directors, our board of directors here tonight is filling many roles, as usual, and I want to thank the Majestic for hosting us again in this beautiful space. Thank you everyone for being here and taking the time to come together on International Day of Peace.
Thank you, Nia, for introducing me. I'm Ashanti, and I joined Whatcom Peace and Justice Center board. I think it was probably about 6 months ago, if I'm remembering correctly. And I joined the board because I noticed that need for deep conversation about what it means, peace and justice, what does that mean? And so I've been thinking about that, and I was just, peace and justice, what does that even mean? And it's sort of a big question for all of us, and something that we can contemplate every day. This world, there's so much chaos, and there's so many things that you can see, the media, the news, the TV, we see all of this negativity happening with families, children being taken away, children that are disappearing, Native Americans that disappear, and I thought, peace and justice for everyone? That's not really what this is proving. So I got involved with the board because I wanted to see the Whatcom Peace and Justice Center. I saw a lot of opportunity to grow and to lead and to be something that is strong in this community. And I thought, okay, so this group, what is the power that we have? What power do we have to disassemble oppression in this community? And the theme for tonight, I thought, oh wow, this was something that I really believed in, and it is letting go of the things of the past and the violence of the past and looking forward to the future. And so I wanted to just kind of clarify the meaning of the violence of the past. So the word violence itself, many of us don't really pay attention to that word anymore. We don't have that deep concept of what violence means. So we talk about autism, we talk about racism, we talk about marginalized communities. And these are all different causes of oppression. And this is all showing violence that we're having on each other. So if we look down on people because of race, we marginalize them because of race, that's violence. Ooh, I'm not going to interact with these people who are maybe Native American because there's a language barrier, that's a form of violence. Disabled people that say in a wheelchair or they have CP or something, if you just notice something different and it's a disability and you're like, oh, I can't look because I don't know what to say, so I'm just going to pretend they're not there. Well, that's violence. And it seems to make those marginalized groups less human, or the people of these groups less human. It's just because they don't have the same life experience as we do. And so that's all a form of violence. And so that word, violence, I think we don't realize the effect that it has on us every day. I think we're no longer sensitive to it. So right now, currently I'm a PhD student and I'm studying for transformative studies. And what that means is really looking into how to change the system. And really the concept is trying to get to the root of the system and how that causes oppression. What is the root of all of that? And what's involved in the system. And so there's an African root word. It's Sankofa. This is the sign for that. And that's about, it really describes a bird, and its feet are facing forward, but its head is facing backward with an egg in its mouth. And the meaning of the symbol of that is that the feet are facing forward towards the future, the head is facing back towards the past, seeing about what happened and learning from the mistakes of the past, and then having that goal of not repeating those mistakes in the future. So the feet facing forward means, yes, I comprehend these mistakes and I recognize these mistakes, and walking forward, I won't be making them again. And if you notice, we have violence all throughout the history in the US, from slavery to different forms of oppression, and how the system has influenced us is really to ignore ourselves, and then to kind of ignore that concept of us all being human. So a question to think about is, what have you really learned from the the mistakes of the past, and how is it that we can move forward and not repeat those mistakes. So now moving forward, and where am I here on my notes? So the peace for the future, looking forward, and what that looks like, peace for the future. And the concept of peace and justice started in 1982. And that was from the United Union. And every year they set up this day and to look back to the war and the conflict and things of the past and try to make it so that those things aren't going to happen in the future. And honestly, I wish that this International Day of Peace was every day. I really think it needs to be 365. That's truly my wish. And really, my point is we have a lot of work to do. We really need to internalize ourselves. So everything that we internalize from the system, we need to figure out what is that, and then is that going to work for us every day? And that's one of the questions to ask yourself. Take a look inside. And why do we respond how we respond? And once you can unpack those things yourself, you're able to see more clearly and get a bigger picture of what the future could look like. This country, we're in the middle of major conflict. We have more racism, more audism, more ableism, and other forms of oppression. There's more of that now. And I'm just thinking if we can understand how that came about in the first place, then we together can build peace for the future. But that means that we need to have everyday dialogue, intergroup dialogue. We need to be willing to sit down and talk with somebody who's not familiar with us, who maybe we're not comfortable with. Let's say if a person who's hearing, who's never talked with a deaf person, well, it's time to get to know them. Because we're all human. Same with people with disability, we need to know who they are. They're human too. And if a person is a Native American, or if they're a Mexican American, or if they're from another country, or just something that you're not familiar with, they're human too, and we need to sit down and get to know them and have these different groups come together, and we really need to have that connection. So peace for the future means we have to figure out a way to come back to that deep human connection. So to summarize here, if we can take the time and think about the concept of Sankofa again, and then take the responsibility for allowing what the violence has come in this community and in this world, and we need to work on that together. We have the power to work together against that. And then again, you guys can also think about, to you tonight, what does peace and justice mean for you? Thank you so much for your time. Have a great night.
Thank you so much, Ashanti. I have the pleasure of working with an amazing board of directors, as you can tell. So I also, this last several months, have had the pleasure of working with a really awesome organizing committee who put together this event, including Drink and Dine for Peace, which is happening out in Greater Bellingham right now, all day. It's the first time that we've had this event where 8 local restaurants are donating part of their sales from the day to our organization, which is also a really awesome opportunity for a small organization like ours to have bigger, broader visibility in the community. So we're really excited about that. The team they're just amazing, cool people, and they're gonna come out here to kick me off the microphone. So, welcome. So Natalie, Josh, Addie, Jamie, and Kendall. This is our organizing committee. Yay. and there's 5 of them, so that means there's not really room for me anymore.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jamie Donaldson, and I'm a member of this committee. And it's International Day of Peace. We're so glad you're here. And I want to point out that it actually is the only day of the year where we gather as a community to raise funds for the Whatcom Peace and Justice Center. So I'm hoping that when the basket comes around to you, that you'll dig deep and really find a means to help support this wonderful organization. And here's just one reason why I support it. Yesterday was prep day for cooking. There was a whole team of us over at the Bellingham Unitarian Fellowship, and oh my gosh, we were doing the chopping and the mixing, and this one wonderful man, Mike, was washing these gigantic cauldrons of cooking pots. The point of this is that I was really tired, it was the end of the day, but I looked up, and here was this intergenerational team of people doing cooking activism. And I thought, this is so wonderful. I want to be a part of that, and I want to be a part of this organization. So I'm inviting you to feel real pride in this organization as well. It is not a little thing, no es cosa pequeña, that we have an activist center here in Whatcom County. This is a marvelous thing. We started this back in 2002 out of necessity, and we have continued to watch this program, or this organization, grow and change over time with all the different conditions. We need to keep it vibrant and flexible, and that takes leadership, vision, volunteers, and money. So please, feel proud of this organization as we all do, and support it today on International Day of Peace.
Grab the mic from Jamie and pick up on a theme that she talked about and that Nia talked about, which is that the Whatcom Peace and Justice Center is a wonderful place that takes young people in our community seriously and offers an opportunity for them to learn about activism and advocacy and to be effective in their own work. And that's rare and special. So that's why I support the Whatcom Peace and Justice Center. And I hope that you would consider joining me in that support.
I also want to echo Nia's thanks to the volunteers and Jamie's too. I had the pleasure of coordinating volunteers for this evening, and I was just really overwhelmed by the response. Today alone, I got maybe 5 or 6 different phone calls from people saying, do you still need a hand? What can I do to help? And it really inspired me to see all of the different members of our community, an intergenerational group of people helping out with this event. So can we give a round of applause really quick for the volunteers? And the Whatcom Peace and Justice Center relies on volunteers all year round, and your support tonight will allow us to do more programming together and involve more people and reach more people in our community to spread this vision of a peaceful future that we're all envisioning tonight. I also want to just give a shout out to the Whatcom Peace and Justice Center for holding space for important conversations in our community. Kim Harris does racial justice and equity workshops there. I myself have participated in workshops around addressing white supremacy and taking racism seriously as a white person in this community, and I'm really grateful that there's a space to do that. I'm relatively new here, only in the last couple of years have I lived here, and there's not many spaces that you can go and meet and have important conversations about justice and equity, and I'm so grateful that there is this space on Bay Street where we can come together to do that, and events like this where we can do that as well. So I personally feel so grateful to the center, and I want to give a shout out to all of you that have been participating in its thriving and its formation. So thank you for being here tonight.
Something that Naomi said earlier tonight about how we are what make each other human was so powerful to me, and I think that rings true when I think think about also being peacemakers and being change makers. That when we work in isolation, we can't get a lot done. And that the power of this work comes from doing it together. And moreover, that the power of doing it together relies on having an institution like the Peace and Justice Center to lift us up, to hold us together, to provide space for those critical conversations, and most importantly, to continue to motivate us in those times when things are really tough. So again, I encourage you to support the center tonight for holding that critical space that is otherwise unprovided in this community, a place where we can all come together and be together as peacemakers and change makers in our community.
So through this, right, we're all familiar now with a lot of the great work Whatcom Peace and Justice has done, is doing, and is going to do in the future. But let's get real. None of this can happen without resources, okay? And everything, I don't need to bore you with every detail of the budget, but from keeping the lights on to making sure the taxes get filed, all costs money, a lot of which can't be funded through grants or other sources. So this is a big night for us. This is the one night that we ask all the supporters of peace and justice here in Bellingham and Whatcom County to really get behind the center and put a bet on it, right? Invest in this Peace and Justice Center because you believe in it. The past few years, we have seen in a lot of different ways an intensification of the bad, right? And whether we think about U.S. militarism in Iraq and Afghanistan, Yemen and elsewhere, or we think about problems here like the federal government's war on immigrants, domestic abuse, gun violence, environmental degradation, all of these are really big, scary forces. And every day, Whatcom Peace and Justice is out there pushing back against that, fighting for our community, and needs to be supported. So we have to be the ones to get behind it, all right? Our wonderful volunteers going around with the baskets right now are doing so because they believe in this organization, okay? And I believe in it too. So I am asking you to really dig deep. Open up those pockets, open up the wallet, the jewelry box, dig up the old corner of the crawl space where you're stashing cash, roll out the sock drawer, whatever you got, okay? Think of it like a robbery. Everything in the basket, all right? Additionally, if you don't have any cash or jewelry to give us, credit card payments and checks are accepted. So whatever form you have your money in, we'll take it, yes. And if you have any in your shoes, we don't mind shoe money either. So whatever it is, pin money, hat money, shoe money, we want it. Support this Peace Center, okay? I support the Peace Center because I really believe in its mission, and I believe that despite all the bad in the world, that we're gonna win. And I hope you believe in it too. Do you believe that we're gonna win? All right, let's hear it then, all right? I believe we will win. 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 All right, thank you very much. We'll have Vicki come back out here now. Thank you all again. Dig deep, give generously.
So now that people have shared what the Peace Center means to them, I think I want to share what the Peace Center means to me. So I have been a part of the Whatcom Peace and Justice Center for about 3 to 4 years now, and I joined when I was at Whatcom Community College. I was, I had no idea what I was signing up for, but what I did get out of it was a community that was always ready to support me in any way, shape, or form and listen to me. I know Janet has been a huge mentor in my life, and Nia has been also a really great mentor that I can look towards for any kind of support that I need. Emotional, mental, anything. They're always there for me. So really, they do so much more than just run this center. They really do care about this community and have shown us through the efforts today. So transitions are hard, and I failed to tell Nia that I'm not very good at transitions. So before I announce who will be announcing the Harris Howard Lifetime Peacemaker Award, I want us all to just kind of take a deep breath, take it in, and then let it go. We're gonna do that one more time. Take a deep breath in, and let it go. And let's be thankful what is happening today in this space. So thank you for that. I would like to welcome Freddie and Betsy, who will be announcing this year's recipient for the Howard Harris Lifetime Peacemaker Award. Please come to the stage.
Good evening. It's an honor to speak to the selection of Beth Brownfield as the 2018 Howard Harris Peace Award recipient. Beth has spent a lifetime educating about and advocating for Native American cultures. A teacher by profession, the motivation behind her work has always been making a long-term impact. Beth was raised in California and learned at the early age of 12 years old of the smallpox-infected blankets given to Native Americans by white settlers. This early knowledge primed her for her lifetime of action. After 2 years in the Peace Corps, she and her husband Jerry moved to Minnesota in 1969. In 1979, she attended a life-changing summer camp at Wounded Knee, at which she began to learn about the injustices and genocide inflicted upon Native American peoples. For the next 2.5 decades in the Midwest, Beth dedicated herself to a wide range of activities to support Native American issues, facilitating classes about tribal sovereignty, treaty rights, and Native American culture, fundraising to support Native American issues, creating a packet of information about Native American culture, which was distributed nationally through the Unitarian Universalist Assembly. In 2004, Beth and Jerry moved to Bellingham, and Beth enthusiastically embraced learning about local Native American issues. Through the Academy of Lifelong Learning, and with the permission of the Lummi Nation and Nooksack Tribe, and using Native American presenters, she facilitated at least 5 classes on Native American culture. In 2007, when the Lummi Nation hosted the canoe journey, Beth jumped in with both feet to help organize a community connections committee that worked for 6 months to raise more than $60,000 in goods, services, and donations, as well as organizing volunteers to help with the event and roles requested by the Lummies. Beth asked the Lummies how they would like to be honored for hosting this event. The answer was they had never been officially acknowledged as the first inhabitants of these lands and waters. The Community Connections Committee approached city, county, and federal elected officials to seek their support for the first Coast Salish Day, an event held at Boulevard Park honoring the Lummies and other Coast Salish peoples as the first inhabitants. On July 30th, 2007, thousands of people gathered on the shores of Lummi Nation to welcome more than 70 canoes from as far north as Bella Coola and as far south as Oregon, which arrived for this historic 6-day canoe journey. The potlatch ceremony that capped the event was historic, the first held by the Lummi since the 1930s. These events, the canoe journey and Coast Salish Day, were transformational in changing the broader relationship of the community to the Lummi Nation. In 2009, Beth focused her work on repudiation of the doctrine of discovery, a concept promulgated by European monarchies to legitimize the seizure and colonization of lands outside of Europe inhabited by non-Christian Aboriginal peoples. Through her efforts and those of others, the Board of Directors of the Unitarian Universalist General Assembly in 2012 overwhelmingly passed a resolution to repudiate the doctrine of discovery, an action taken since by many major religious denominations in the U.S. Through her Native Events email list of more than 1,000 recipients, Beth has educated our local community for at least 8 years about Native American activities and culture. Her emails provide a listing of local and regional Native American events, as well as resources such as books, talks, films, YouTube videos, and actions in which to engage. Beth emphasizes that none of the work was done alone, that many people joined in, saw the possibilities, wanted to learn and make a difference. She noted her work involves networking, linking people to one another, and providing opportunities to understand and to be changed. Thank you, Beth, for your lifetime commitment to teaching us and providing us opportunities to learn about our neighbors, the first inhabitants of these lands and waters.
Thank you, Betsy. As you can see, I'm not Beth Brown. brownfield. But Beth is one of my very dear friends. We met back just before the canoe journey came to Lummi, and it was a very moving moment for the nation. For those of you, I was born and raised here in the Bellingham Bay Area, I call it. Siamanis Jalacha, Salkadab is my Indian name. My Christian name's Frederick Lane. I'm the number 11 child of the late Vernon and Nancy Lane, both of Lummi. I'm a community leader by trade, and just in the last 10 months, I, believe it or not, became a professional politician. I ran for tribal council, and you know, things happen, and they happen for really good reasons. And a lot of those good reasons are each and every one of you in this room. In 2007, I was honored to receive a Peace Builder Award right here on this stage, and for me, it was such a powerful moment. And for our friend Beth, she's in Japan, and she had a planned a trip, and she's in Japan, and I hope she's watching on our Facebook Live feed. And so Beth, we want a round of applause for our wonderful and great friend. Beth is one of those friends, you know, when I was tasked to do the canoe journey, I took my calendar, you know, you have those big calendars, and I counted the days back, and we did canoe journey in 157 days, which is a miracle. But then we know as grassroots people, we can do anything. And with all of us, you know, I know Beth would want to let you know that it's important especially for you young people watching right now, for you parents and grandparents, and for you, there might be some of you great-grandparents out there, you know, I'm not saying that you're not out there, but, you know, we need to get people out to vote on November 6, 2018. And I'm not saying that Beth would say that, but you know, I know that she's always out. She's always been out there. And for those of you who know me, I've traveled with the Totem Pole Journeys with Jewel James and the House of Tears Carvers, and Beth and Deb Cruz and my friend Larry Hildes and Diane and just all these wonderful friends here in Bellingham. And that's what our Community Connections Committee did, is we bridged our communities. And that's what we really need to keep doing. And I'm really hoping that by our communities coming together, that we let our politicians know that we need to build and rebuild infrastructure in this country instead of building walls. That is so important for us to get that through. And I don't mean to make this political statement, but you know, we gotta come together. And Beth and the Whatcom Peace and Justice Center, you know, with this beautiful award, this Lifetime Achievement Award, you know, I just want to, you know, let you know that Beth is a phenomenal human being, and you know, just as many of us in this room, I mean, I just turned 50. Don't let the cane fool you. But you know, these are the occupational hazards of running for public office. You get beat up, you get kicked, you get screamed at, you get yelled at every name, but I'm still a community leader. I want you to know that. And I believe in you. I believe in every single person that might see this across the world. Happy International Day of Peace. Happy International Day of Peace. Happy Peace Day. And for the Whatcom Peace and Justice Center, I raise my hands to you. I raise my hands to Victoria. Thank you for your wonderful work, your inspiration for the next generation. I have to just share with you, when we did the first canoe journey in 2007, that was the first time I ever publicly spoke in front of like 17,000 people. So if you want to know how scared I was pretty scared. But as we grow, and this is for every single one of us, you know, we have this voice, especially the grandparents and the grandpas and the grandmas that are at those city council meetings pointing their fingers, telling the politicians that you need to protect our waters, you need to protect our airs, you need to protect our future for our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren and those yet to come. That's really powerful, and that's what Beth shows to me, that, wow, this grandmother, she's out there and she's making the difference. And so I believe that we all can use this moment to really take that step forward and to appreciate our friends here at the Whatcom Peace and Justice Center. And Naomi, where are you at?
It's 6:20 now.
Is she down there? She is right there. I want another round of applause for her. Naomi, oh my gosh. You made my night, and I just really wanna thank you. And you ever need somebody to help you do a video or I'm a filmmaker? I'd love to tour the world with you when you become rich and famous, and we hope that you come back here and say, I was right here with the Whatcom Peace and Justice Center here, and I just want to thank you. That was just a true honor, and it's so nice to be here with each and every one of you. And so on behalf of Betsy and our friend Beth Brownfield, Heiska, there she is, Beth. We love you. We're FaceTiming you. Another round of applause, Beth Brownfield, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, Beth, you want to do this one more time? We'll be waiting for you. My name is Jo Moss. I'm a longtime Bellingham friend of Beth's and a longtime admirer and supporter of all the work she does in bringing communities together. I'm honored that she has asked me to read her acceptance talk, speech, words, thoughts about this award. She's very honored to receive it, and very sorry she can't be here, but she really is, sort of. Okay. These are Beth's words. I am honored receiving this award and sorry to miss being among you today. I write this from Japan on a tour with my oldest daughter, Amy. My youngest daughter, Jenny, is with you today to represent our family. Receiving the award has caused me to reflect on what has taken me on more than 44 years of activism supporting original nations and peoples. Reading about smallpox blankets that were given to captured Native Americans to kill them shocked me at age 12, an unimaginable act I have never recovered from. Learning what was at the heart of the Wounded Knee takeover galvanized me, and I had to do something. That's in capital letters. This was my entrance into 7 years of activism with the American Friends Service Committee. Everything I have done since has come out of or was a result of showing up at protests and events, marching and camping in the Black Hills, Unitarian Universalist work camps on Pine Ridge, where I was exposed to the true history and the life stories of the people I met. The Twin Cities, Minneapolis-St. Paul, was an urban Indian center with tribal members from many nations and involved in multiple issues. The American Indian Movement's headquarters was also there and was rich with opportunities to learn and serve. When I moved to Bellingham in 2004, there were amazing opportunities to work to support the 2007 Paddle to Lummi canoe journey and join the Lummi Nation in defeating the proposed coal terminal and other fossil fuel threats. Times have changed, and we truly need each other in today's struggles. My work is especially founded in 3 principles of my Unitarian Universalist faith: the inherent worth and dignity of every person, justice, equity, and compassion in human relations, respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. The foundation of my work also lies in the principles of the Honor Foundation: honoring government-to-government relationships and tribal sovereignty, affirming Indian treaties, honoring and protecting the earth now and for the future, conducting ourselves in a manner which is respectful of all people, promoting an intercultural understanding and awareness. I have never had an action plan for my social justice work because opportunities related to my principles arise unexpectedly and I am good to go. I don't have a choice. It becomes who I am. In the last few years, have you found yourself being drawn into working with original nations and peoples more frequently? Did you work with Lummi Nation to defeat the proposed coal terminal? Did you attend a send-off of one of the jeweled James Totem Pole journeys? Maybe you went to Standing Rock, or you supported a pipeline protest alongside Native nations. Original nations and peoples are on the front line, affected by climate change and fossil fuels extraction, and they are taking the lead today. Here are a few of the lessons I've learned over the 44 years of activism. 1, the work of the heart in social justice is intense. However, when one carries a vision for a future they are creating, then one's work is sustaining and invigorating. 2, it doesn't take tremendous energy to be a person of change. Truly, it doesn't have to be a struggle. Imagine yourself a candle in a bright flame. As you lean to the person on your right and light their candle, and they lean and pass the light along, then the light grows. It didn't take energy from the first candle. Credit can't be given to the first because it was the accumulation of the whole that accomplished the task. Credit lies in the collective because each candle has a creative power which was passed along. The collective holds the vision and power. The work is not driven or owned by any one person. It becomes our work. We each have a stake in it, a part of the vision and a part of the solution. 3, I also learned you don't have to know how to do everything to take on big projects. Don't let doubts about your abilities to do something big stop you. If you believe deeply in something and have a germ of an idea of what the world would look like if it was realized, take it on. Speak it out loud. Project your vision to others. If your idea becomes a collective vision, the money, the resources, and the skills to accomplish it will come along to fulfill it. You will be amazed how this works. 4, become adept at networking, connecting people, connecting resources, and pulling things together. It doesn't mean you have to do it all by yourself. You know others who will join you. You will meet people who have certain skills or who will help you find what else is needed. 5, leverage what you have. Offer your organization space for fundraisers, speakers, art shows, films. Help publicize events that serve the causes you support. Help in fundraising, keeping money moving in the right direction. 6, always give moral support, praise, and acknowledgement to those that are doing the heavy lifting. In conclusion, Lummi Nation is hosting the 2019 Canoe Journey. The reality The reality of this is 5,000 tribal members hosting over 100,000 people over the course of 6 days at a cost of over $2 million. $2 million. In 2007, Lummi alone served over 65,000 meals. Canoe Journey has grown exponentially in the intervening years. Lummi was thinking of hosting in 2020, but no other nation stepped forward, so Lummi took it on without a budget and only a year to plan. We need to pull together with Lummi. This is an enormous task. There will be a place for you if you choose. Work with us on the steering committee of the 2019 Paddle to Lummi Community Connections Committee. We will be working under the direction of Lummi Nation to help raise funds, find goods and services from the wider community, and during the festivities themselves, there will be hundreds upon hundreds of volunteer tasks. Please sign up for the 2019 Paddle to Lummi Community Connections email list. There will be periodic emails to keep you informed about what help is needed and how to volunteer as the time gets closer. Our desire is to engage the entire county in this support. With gratitude and solidarity with our Coast Salish neighbors, Beth Brownfield. One more thing, that Beth emailed me, and she just wanted to plant a little pebble of knowledge about donations out there. And as she mentioned, this is quite an expensive undertaking, the Canoe Journey. And she said, we are thinking of setting a goal of raising $300,000 to support Lummi in the next 10 months. What if each of you made a personal pledge to raise at least $100? You could find 5 friends to donate 20 each, or 10 friends to donate 10. It would only take 10 of you to make that pledge to raise $1,000. And if there are 250 of you here today that would take that same pledge, just in this room, we could donate $25,000. There, I did it, Beth. You got flowers.
As the night comes to an end, I want us all to reflect on how we will carry this message into the world. At a time where things feel rocky within our communities, we need to carry ourselves with peace and share that with others who need it. Before Naomi takes the stage, I would like to remind everyone to please donate to the Whatcom Peace Justice Center. You can also continue celebrating at Drink and Dine for Peace at various locations such as Bayou and Bay, Brandywine Kitchen, Camber Culture Cafe, and Stone Throws Brewing. Let's continue the celebration after this. And please, please purchase Naomi's music. She is incredible, and we need to support women of color. Let's give a warm closing applause for Naomi, and happy International Day of Peace.
Okay, so before you head out, we're going to do one song, all of us. We're going to sing a song. Is that okay? This is one of my originals. It's a song called Anywhere. And it's this reminder that no matter where you go in the world, you will find common things such as love, hate, desire, longing, hunger, and death. Okay. All right, so would you guys like to stand up and you can clap and dance if you want to. It's really simple. Okay, 1, 2. All right, so your part, the part that you're going to sing, goes something like this. Oh, 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 anywhere you go. Oh, 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 anywhere you go. See, very try it without me playing, just so make sure I can hear you loud and clear. Clap if you want to. If you can harmonize, even better. That'll be awesome. But so let's give it a try. So 1, 2, 3. Oh, 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 oh. Anywhere you go. Oh, 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 oh. Anywhere you go. Oh, you can do better than that. I have faith that you can. All right. So let's give it one more try. All right. 1, 2, 3. Oh, 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 oh. Okay, there you go. You got it. So, all right, just listen in. You'll see the cue, my cue, when you're gonna come in. And here we go.
Oh,